Well, we've wandered over now to the dog tent area, and watching people around here, there's no doubt that we really do love our pets, but do we love them too much? And do we sometimes confuse them by treating them like human beings? Maybe for some people they're even child substitutes. Well, joining us now is animal behaviour expert Peter Neville. Peter, I wonder why do we keep what were originally wild animals as pets in our home anyway?
Well, in the case of the dog, it was because the wolf started to fulfil functions for us. He acted as a guard, he acted as a hunting companion, and fairly soon he was able to help us herd our domestic livestock. And so we very quickly shaped the wolf into the more usable forms for us.
And do you think that we sometimes create problems by treating dogs as human beings rather than dogs?
Well, yes, I mean we do, because we introduce communication problems, and unfortunately it's inevitable that when we keep dogs as companions, which is the main reason why we keep them these days, and they live in our homes, there are going to be breakdowns in communication. For sure, things are very similar, but it's the fine points that make the difference.
Okay, well, we've set up our own pet behaviour clinic here. Let me introduce you to George and Pam Whiteways and their dog Max. And I know that you've been having a bit of a problem, haven't you, George?
Yes, 2.5 years ago I had a heart attack, and when I came out of hospital, and the dog had turned and was just looking after my wife instead of me.
You actually got attacked though, didn't you?
Oh yes, 4 times in 2.5 years.
And you got the scars to prove it?
Yes, I have.
Okay, I mean obviously I suppose that's quite flattering for you, Pam, that you were being protected by him, but a bit worrying, I should think.
Well, it was worrying, especially in the fact that I thought that he should be put down, but George won't hear of that.
Well, hopefully, Peter, we won't have to get that drastic. I mean, what do you think the problem is?
Well, it's very interesting, because for 9 years Max here has been a perfect dog. He's never bitten anybody, and it must be really traumatic to find that he's now biting you, George. But
yes, it is.
You see, what's happened in doggy terms is that the top pair, the breeding pair, has dismantled because George went away.
Yeah.
He was unwell, and Max naturally came to the fore and said, "It's my turn to be top dog." Unfortunately, or rather fortunately, George has come back and said, "Right, I'm back now," and Max has said, "Hang on, I'm top boy now." And
right, so he's competing then, really?
He's now competing. George is now competing, and Max, in doggy terms, is just doing what comes naturally.
Right, so how do we stop him doing what comes naturally then?
Well, the first thing we do is we avoid all confrontation, because you'll never beat this type of dog into submission.
So you can't be aggressive?
Certainly not. One thing we would look at is perhaps his hormone level. He's a bit old to be castrated, but an anti-male hormone injection might help for a period, while Pam basically switches off. Max must now earn all the privileges that go to his life with you. He must move to you when he's called. You must never go to him. He must sit, obey some sort of a command before being fed, before being fussed, before being groomed. And certainly you must start to control the games. At the moment, I know that Max brings you his toys and demands to be played with, and they're competitive games. You're teaching him to use his teeth. And that's one of the ways that dogs organise their social system. So these toys are yours, you keep them in the cupboard,
yes.
You bring them out to play. They're throw-fetch games, not competitive games. And then at the end of the game, you keep them. And slowly that builds up the idea.
And you say more distance from Pam then?
A much more distant relationship. In other words, we want George to be the source of all the good things in Max's life for a while, to play the positive leader role.
Yes.
So he becomes top dog again?
So Max will perceive George as being a benevolent leader, not an autocratic one.
Right. And we don't have to have him put down?
No.
Marvellous.
No.